unless the behavioural change is being rolled out, as in Holland, as elsewhere, as in Britain, rolled out by a process of indoctrination, not education.
Indeed. And what better place to go for a little bit of indoctrination than coffee?
Well, we're finishing on this one. This is the Costa Express. This is Costa's moment in going woke and perhaps also going broke. So they've used this cartoon illustration on some hoarding and some vans and things, and it is a trans man, and they're illustrating mastectomy scars in this cartoon. This has received quite a reaction. So we have here the Independent reporting on it. They say Costa Coffee defends the mural of a post-op trans man after the boycott threat. They've been accused of glamorising complex and dangerous surgery. And they responded, we want everyone that interacts with us to experience the inclusive environment that we create, to encourage people to feel welcomed, free and unashamedly proud to be themselves. So it's very much the current religion. The mural in its entirety showcases and celebrates inclusivity. So it's DIE, diversity, inclusivity, equity is what they are pushing. Some of the reactions have been quite interesting. Julia Hartley-Brewer was interviewing Labour MP Lloyd Russell-Moyle, who was entirely supportive of Costa. And she asked, if someone said they wanted to cut their right leg off, would that be their choice, and would you endorse that? Would we celebrate it? Now, if you're into what crip theory is, the answer to that one is, oh yes. Some of the other comments here, we've got James S's complaining that this is the mural, quoting the Costa spokesman, the mural's entirety showcases and celebrates inclusivity. And he says, supporting women to be themselves by encouraging them to fundamentally change themselves. It's a disgrace. Lawrence Fox was more blunt. He said, you're promoting the mutilation of healthy young girls. I hope you're boycotted out of existence. And the boycott is indeed running out, so it's running forward. So we hear ABC News in America picked up on the story, talking about the boycott, and they quoted it in a very odd manner. They said, anti-LGBTQ social media users are threatening to boycott. No, it's customers that are threatening to boycott the world's second largest coffee chain. And the Telegraph, they also reported on this. The woke mural leaves me no choice but to boycott them. Who's with me? Writes Judith Woods. She says, a grown-up of either sex, and there are only two, remember, who pointed out that the overwhelming, indeed overwhelmed majority of women who have their breasts surgically removed don't morph into groovy surfer dudes, grow cool beards, and live happily ever after. More hard-hitting, UnHerd here says, Costa's trans mastectomy advert as an insult to women. Cutting off a girl's healthy breast is an act of mutilation, writes Joan Smith, and not a fashion accessory. Again, the public response has been very strong. Here we see comments that Costa are having their Bud Light moment, and we see regular Costa Coffee customers considering this a disgrace. But the most moving and I think important comment on this was from this woman, SINEAD WATSON, who wrote in the Mail Online about her experience of transitioning and having her breasts removed and going through the entire medicalization process when she was going through puberty with all the difficulties that brings, and developing into a woman at quite a young age and having male attention she didn't know what to do with and couldn't handle, and all of the difficulty that caused her. And she writes very precisely and very movingly about this. She talked about how the professionals just took everything she said at face value, and they agreed with everything. They prescribed her testosterone. And she said, no one ever told me the truth. You're not a man, and it's impossible to de-sex yourself. She then concludes in her piece about how unhappy she was after she had the surgery, so unhappy that she had a breakdown and she attempted suicide. And she said she was saved by her family and a tiny group of women who were brave enough to go on the internet and admit that they regretted transitioning too. And this is what she's doing to help others now. And she concludes, we need to acknowledge that puberty is difficult. We need to help girls negotiate change. We need to tell them it's very common to go through phases of hating your body, and we need to educate men to stop sexualising young girls. Quite simply, it's time for us to wake up, smell the coffee, and realise the terrible damage that can be done to young women. I thought that was an excellent piece, Brian.
Yes, and of course, many people say to us, but what can we do to stop these terrible things happening? Well, this is an easy one because you simply stop drinking the coffee, and also you tell people why you're not drinking the coffee anymore. So we'll leave that one there. Now, we've got a couple of images to finish on. Alex, you get the first one.
Well, that's one of mine, Brian.
Oh, is it? I beg your pardon, David. Okay.
So this is, a man goes to the doctor here, and the doctor says, well, that's a nasty bug you've got there. And as you look down, the ladybug is saying, real communism has never been tried.
Okay, this one's yours, Alex.
This is an office setting. Whether an interview or just a chat with the boss isn't certain, but the boss or interviewer asks, are you concerned about the increase in artificial intelligence? And the employee or interviewee says, no, but I am concerned about the decrease in real intelligence.
And one more from me. Here we see a man reading a book on 1933 to 1945 Germany, and he's wondering how could people allow it to get to that point, but he's reading it with his face mask, his vaccine certificate tattooed on his shoulder, and his face screen as well to protect him from everything that we must fear.
And this one's for me as well. I don't know who the cartoonist is here, but they're suggesting there's 4 ways to become a zombie. Infection, as in the zombie bite, radiation, virus, and going to college.
Which says it all. And before we finish the news today, we've got a video clip, a music video clip. Just tell us about that briefly, Alex.
These fine performers are the group Hollowbone. They've performed at, if I'm correct, both of the events that Hope have laid on in Sussex. UK Column covered one of them last year and has mentioned the other. You'll still find that section on ukcolumn.org, last year's Hope Festival. Hollowbone have now brought out a new single, Hold the Line. They've brought out several, but this one particularly struck us. And in this 1 minute extract of their song played out by permission, you will see that most of the presenters of UK Column News get a cameo appearance.
It's just a point on the wheel of time. Rome sold is breaking, our system's failing. They're bread and circuses. We must resist. But who is winning? This wheel keeps spinning. What we resist persists. Go figure this. It's alright. It's all fine. It's just a point on the wheel of time. Invisible lines. It's all in the mind. Release your thighs. Stay free and hold the line.
Well, there we are. Music and also a few faces I think we could do without. I'll leave our audience to judge whether it's us or not. But that's the end of today's news. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are in the world. Big thank you to Alex and, of course, your guest, Arba. We will be back in a few minutes' time for UK Column Extra. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.